All right, and the beat goes on once again. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to another edition of the Conscious Approach channel on YouTube. As always, my name is JV Wins. I'm joined by the boy Dogon SS on this March the 28th, 2023. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. Thanks to everybody for watching. Thanks to everybody for supporting our little corner here on the YouTube universe. Before we get things kicked off, I would like to begin by saying that if you have not done so, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Please, show us some support as we try to kick back to the community by making some good, engaging content that people can rally behind. We certainly appreciate you supporting logical content. We do this each and every week, multiple videos a week, multiple uploads, trying to keep the activity going. So we certainly appreciate your support. As you can see on our ticker going across the bottom of the screen, we have a current goal of 1,000 subscribers. And thus far, we have been doing this straight off the muscle of our consistency and just our commentary. There's no sponsorship. There's no financial backing. We just do this because we like talking about these various topics. So if you have not done so, go ahead and join the tribe, man. Hit that subscribe button so that you can be a part of the community and also get notifications or just be made aware whenever new content is published to the channel, because we certainly appreciate that. With that out of the way, we'll go ahead and get started. First thing that we're going to talk about this evening is the gift that keeps on giving. So Jada Pinkett and Will Smith's marriage, relationship, family, whatever you want to call it, is frequently discussed across the podcast world, the YouTube world. It's a topic of discussion quite often. It's the gift that keeps on giving. Dare I say, Will and Jada are also friends of the channel, along with everyone else who has crossed that threshold into being friends of the channel. And that relationship, that dynamic, and the whole everything, we don't need to go down, memory lane rehashing everything that's happened thus far. The whole red table talk, the entanglement thing, Will going on her show to talk about the fact to get asked questions by her in terms of how he felt about the fact that she was sleeping with their son's friend, who was an R&B star, the Oscar slap. Y'all already know everything that's transpired with respect to their personal dynamic. But it was brought up during a recent episode of the King Rich's podcast that goes down out in the UK. And fellow content creator Melanie King was a guest on the King Rich's podcast. And she was asked about it. And so they went on talking about it. She gave her thoughts about how she feels about the whole situation. But then she specifically flipped it and posed the question, how would the reaction have been if the shoes were reversed? And Will was the one interviewing Jada, asking her how she felt about him sleeping with their daughter's friend. And so I thought that this was an interesting angle with which to kind of look at this particular story. So I'll go ahead and play this. Again, this is Melanie King going into what if the shoes were reversed. How would we be reacting if this was Will who was doing this and not Jada, and how much different it would have been? So I thought that this was pretty interesting. I love talking about male female double standards. And so she's implying that there is a double standard here and that things would have been drastically different in terms of the public perception had it been Will who was doing this and not Jada. So we'll go ahead and play this about 2 minutes and then we'll talk about what she had to say afterwards.
You turn it up, son.
And he's the bottom actor. And she's like a superstar, right?
She wouldn't have done this.
No, it doesn't matter. We're giving the exact same example,
Okay.
regardless of what you think.
Okay.
Let's take it as raw, like equal. Let's give it equal,
Yeah.
right? He interviews his wife. Oh, how did you feel about my entanglement with our daughter Willow's friend, best friend? And I'm giving details how I piped her down and how all of this. Every woman, and then I'm gonna write a tell-all about you and
Melanie, pull
Aaliyah,
the mic
who I
down.
was in love with back in the day.
Melanie, pull your mic
Oh,
down.
sorry. And Aaliyah, who I was in love with back in the day, because that's what I compare her with Tupac. So Aaliyah,
Yeah.
right? In the US, I don't know in the UK if she was as big as she
Yeah,
was
she's
in the
huge.
okay.
Yeah, she's huge.
So
Yeah.
Aaliyah, because she died like Tupac.
R.I.P.
So now he's gonna write a memoir and speak his truth, live his truth, and
Truth. Live your
pipe
truth.
down uh, the daughter's friend. How would y'all feel?
He'd be cancelled immediately. Like he wouldn't even get a say. Like he wouldn't even be able to write the tell-all. He wouldn't even get to that point. That's the
When they would
reality.
give him a book deal?
Oh, there was no.
Could he
I
even
don't-
have a show?
I don't even
Could
get
he
why.
have red
I
table
don't even
talk?
get why Jada's getting a
It'd be
book.
carnage.
I really don't get why she's. If I'm going to be honest, I don't get why she's getting a
Because
book.
in the
'Cause
West,
it
in
was
the
a slap
US,
in the
we're for the
face.
streets.
It was a slap in the face.
Because women are allowed to do whatever they want.
And I
bro.
feel like
That's
it's
the
also-
society we live in the West, man. That's what it boils down to.
There's no culture.
That's
there.
why, let me tell you one thing. The reason that I can even have these conversations and talk about this stuff is because I got women guests. That's why I told them don't bring guys on my show because I can't have these conversations. If we was all a group of men here
go
talking it,
down.
having it, this
Flames.
show would get cancelled straight away.
So quickly.
Okay, so there you go.
Interesting.
Yeah, interesting indeed. So, um, obviously, a lot of angles with which to tackle this from, but her central point was that in Western cultures, in Westernized society, there is a double standard with respect to how we perceive perpetrators and victims of infidelity, particularly within a marriage context. And had it been Will who was doing the cheating and bringing Jada onto his TV show to ask her about it, um, you know, the show and the other guests who were asked the question, they even acknowledged the show would have been canceled. Will wouldn't even be at the point where he gets to write a book about this thing. And for anyone who is unaware, Jada is going to write a memoir about this, as well as her love for Tupac, which would be, in my opinion, further embarrassment for Will Smith. And, it just doesn't work the other way around. If Will's going to try and capitalize on a situation like this by writing a book, I do believe that he also would get raked through the coals and canceled. So I think that their points warrant merit. But how about you?
Yeah, I totally agree, man. These are the times that we're dealing with. You know, the double standards. But here's my thing with double standards such as that. Um, I love them. I love double standards, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because there's truth in every double standard, and the double standards are there for a reason most times. In this dynamic, when we're dealing with male female dynamics and the double standards that exist within those realms, uh, men benefit from a lot of things that women don't. We have this thing that we can biologically blame, that we just want to sleep around. We can biologically blame biology for that. And hey, man, we're a guy. We have to spread seed. We're not pregnant for 9 months. So we get that. And so with that double standard comes, well, we're breadwinners. We take care of everything, blase splees. And, men do what men do. And when we get away with that, and it's kind of like any kind of privilege anybody wants to talk about. So it's like it's a privilege. It's male privilege. And then there's female privilege. So they exercise because they're not in positions of dominance. So they have to get it how they live. So just imagine in biology, if there's scraps on the table, biologically, men should win every time. Because if it came down to physicality and straight brute logic, men will win. So women, knowing that biologically, they have to circumvent and find other ways to get to that piece of the whatever has been dropped on the table. So I say all of that to say that women women use their own personal double standards to their advantage because they have to in this society of making people feel guilty about whatever and shaming people into whatever. So they're going to use their double standards, and men use theirs all the time. So they exist for a reason, I feel. Um, and if there is a double standard that is going on, I don't personally get upset about it. I just understand that the person that's trying to, well, you can do this, why can't I? That's a double standard. It's like, if they try to put that energy on me, I quickly go, hey, let's think about this. Let's think about this. And, let's talk it out kind of thing. And most likely, I think after a conversation, people can really realize that, well, you know what? This double standard needs to be here. Whether it's in the favor of the woman or favor of the man. So, in this context, could Will Smith go around having sex with, Jada's whatever, the scenario got flipped, or he's talking, yeah, he'll be a scumbag. So, so he'll still get praised behind his back because he's slaying other women behind his wife's back. So he'll get praised for that. He's not going to be called a whore or anything like that, like a woman would. So the double standards are all over the place, and men benefit from a lot of them just like women do. So, yes, it is a double standard, but 1 times 0 equals 0. So, how about you, sir?
Yeah,
What do you think?
yeah. I always like to say that there's always two sides to the same coin. Um, yeah, I think that if it was reversed, it would play out differently. But as I've said on this channel before many times, and I'll say it again, when it comes to things like um, infidelities and cheatings and all of that kind of stuff, whenever we're talking about relationships and marriages, it boils down to a matter of who's the perpetrator and who's the victim. So there's a victim element and then there's a perpetrator element. Within the context of these various situations, so long as the woman is perceived to be the victim and not the perp, she can take advantage of all the various dynamics that play into her talk, her, using the situation to her advantage. 9 times out of 10, whenever there's infidelity present within the confines of the relationship, if it's the man doing the cheating, he's going to be perceived as a perp, even if he is actually a victim. And if a woman is cheating within the confines of a relationship, she will be perceived to be a victim because that's just the way these things work. So, like, what I mean by that is, guy's in a marriage and he cheats. It's going to be because he's a dog and he cheats and he's not faithful and he's not disciplined and he doesn't care about the woman, blah, blah, blah. If woman is in a marriage or a relationship and she cheats, it'll be, well, she must be doing it for a reason. There must be a reason why she's doing this. Maybe she's being mistreated, she's being abused. There's a reason for it. There's a validation aspect that kicks in because women would just never actually cheat just because they want to. But that's the inherent double standard in the way that we perceive these various situations. I think what puts people off when it comes to somebody like Jada is the attempt to capitalize on it. That's what I think is off-putting. But as Melanie King said in that clip that we played there, in westernized culture, when it comes to relationships and cheating and all of that kind of stuff, women kind of we've adopted this mentality and we've accepted it, we've normalized it that women are for the streets. And so women being for the streets when it comes to this stuff, you also can't be surprised when, someone in Jada's position is going to attempt to capitalize off of it. And I think that's the part of it that rubs people the wrong way. I
Mm-hmm.
think had there not been an interview, had there not been a whole red table talk thing,
Mm-hmm.
now there's the news of this book. I think these various elements on a grand scale get perceived by people on either side, male or female, as opportunistic. And I think that's what rubs people the wrong way. But otherwise, yeah, there's double standards at work. And I think that the double standards play into who is the victim and who is the perp. And when it comes to relationships, whether the cheating is perpetrated by the woman or not, if a woman's doing the cheating, or if there's even cheating present, no matter who's doing it, she's the victim and he's the perp. If she's the one doing the cheating, she's doing it because she's a victim of his whatever. If he's doing the cheating, it's because he's a perp and he is just doing whatever he does and he's running roughshod on her, taking advantage of her, mistreating her, so on and so forth. You never get the situation flipped in which she's emotionally or physically abusing him or mistreating him, which is the truth in this particular situation, I would say, is that, I think if there was a perpetrator that we would classify in this particular subject, it would be Jada being the perp and Will being the victim. I don't necessarily know that everybody looks at it that way. I think for some people, because we have this ingrained in our minds that women can't be perpetrators of infidelity, there has to be a reasoning behind why Jada's doing what she's doing, thereby justifying her actions and behaviors. And therein lies the double standard for me and a lot of people who do look at this as evidence of inequitability when it comes to how infidelity is perceived. But like you, I accept it as a way of life. I understand it. And I do believe in the notion of two sides of the same coin. As a man, I'll never be able to get into a club for free because I look good. I'll never be able to take advantage of that perk. That's a woman oriented perk. I'll never be able to go places and do things being broke. Women can in many ways. That's a societal perk granted to women based solely off of the sake of their existence as women. So with the good comes the bad, and they get to do these things and benefit, and they also get to sort of have certain dynamics that work to their detriment, just like we do. I said on a previous topic, I'd love to be able to get with any woman that I want and be broke and homeless. Can't do that. It's not the way the world works. I have to be able to build myself up to something if I'm going to operate in that space. So, yes, there's double standards all around. The key to them is just having perspective and acknowledging the various ways that you benefit, not just crying about everything that works against you, which is what annoys certain people and why people tend to bring these kinds of things up. So, that's pretty much how I saw it. And yeah, I acknowledge the presence of it. I do think it would have played out differently, but this is par for the course at this point.
Yeah, and she no doubt she's coming out looking, like she's being mistreated. That's what the whole red table thing was, to give her side of the story. And she told some truths in there. And she basically was, yeah, telling her truth, right? And
Yeah.
while she was on there explaining how she got trapped by Will and how she really didn't want this like that, of course, now she fantasizes about Tupac and all this other stuff. I saw TK Kirkland. Shout out to TK Kirkland. I think Art of Dialogue was interviewing him about that, and he didn't hold no punches. He came straight at her. He was like, "Man, Tupac wasn't checking for her like that." And of course, yeah, y'all in the same pictures, and yeah, he knows you and all this other stuff. But girl, you weren't on his level. You wasn't gonna get with him. So this, post, uh, his passing and her doing this whole lifelong fantasy thing of Tupac, as if she was the one that would have been next up had he still been alive. It's cap. She wasn't. And so her writing all this stuff about Tupac and, uh, you know, just rubbing it in the face of Will, she's clearly a scorned woman. She clearly didn't want this situation to play out as it did. She did not intend to be with this man. And so, since she didn't intend, yeah, there's tons of resentment. And so, and if you ask a woman, um, that's been in her shoes, then yeah, she'll go there. Yeah, Will, I mean, Will should step up to the plate more. He should do
Yeah.
more. He should do this. And it's like, hey, man, he can't win with this situation. But that's what he gets for being as aggressive as he was with her. And, because the stories are there, about him, busting up in that and happy that she's pregnant. And she's not. And he's like, yeah. Now let's get married. Getting weird with it. And that weirdness never went anywhere. So when she wants something normal, on a badass scale like Tupac, she's got this weirdo guy in the house. Woo! All this other weird stuff and inspirational quotes from The Alchemist and all this other stuff he's doing. Scientology. This guy was Hollywood weirdoing up. And so she had those tons of stuff. She wanted some stuff. And so she got it in her son's boyfriend. So this situation here, it's a mess. This is a Hollywood mess. Is there double standards at play? Is she always the victim here? Yeah, I think she is. She went along with a lot of this, but I mean, that's why she did it. She wanted to say, hey, I didn't sign up for this shit. So the Alcina stuff, yeah, because I didn't sign up for this. And, you can't be, I guess you can't be mad at it when you live a life of being a celebrity and your life is constantly on display. So if people want to write your story, I think she felt like she wanted to tell hers. And when I started hearing her story, it's like, yeah, he was being a weirdo. And only a weirdo would get a visual cue from his wife on one of the biggest stages of trying to be a professional you can, and then go slap somebody. I mean, you got to be a weirdo to do that. Whether, because I don't know what this was about. Whether this was an inside thing or not, I still don't know the story about it. I mean, yes, it could play out however, because he will live in infamy. For better or for worse, but this will always come up, and he will always forever be famous. Looking up pictures for Will and Jada and at that Oscars night, that will forever live. I don't know. Anybody from our cohort or anybody that had a computer or a smartphone, they're going to forever remember that image because of how memorable that night was. So for better or for worse, they immortalized themselves. And was it worth it? No, it wasn't. Not to be infamous. And I forgot who that was. I don't know if that was Chris Rock or Dave Chappelle. He said, I think it was Dave Chappelle. He said, you can be, he said something about being infamous. You can't be uninfamous, basically. You could be not famous no more, but, you can't, not be infamous. Because to be infamous for anything, to get that rubbed away, that will forever live in infamy. So, yeah. Was it worth it? I don't think so. But double standards, bring them on. Hey, man, bring them on, man. Hey, man, because these same people on this panel here, because they seem to be melanated. They've got tons of double standards when it comes to skin tone and something being racist or, they're not going to call those out because they benefit from so much of them socially. So that's what I'm saying. So it's just like, stop. If you want to call out one double standard, call them all out. But if you call them all out, you'll be giving up some nice little benefits. So stop crabbing about the ones you can't have and just let people have theirs,
Yeah, and this is a rare instance in which there was a female who was pointing out, something that works against women, because usually women will do that. Usually women will universally, usually they will cake together to downplay all the double standards that work to their benefit and only bring to light the double standards that work against them. And, uniquely, Melanie King will at times talk about some of the double standards that work to men's detriment. But of course, no one cares about men, so no one ever wants to hear that. But, she will, say it from time to time. It's very remarkable how this entire thing has transpired in such a way that these things that Jada has done subsequently after everything went down, if it was a man doing them, would be viewed in poor taste. But I find it very fascinating that if she's coming out like the red table talk thing, she must have done that for a reason. It couldn't have just been because she's a scumbag. There has to be a reason why right? Like there has to be a reason why she's doing this. And
Yeah.
Yeah, and to your credit, it's like, yeah, she's doing this to try and tell her side of the story because that's what needs to happen. Because as a woman, I can't be a scumbag. There has to be my side of the story.
Yeah.
And when it comes to Will Smith, his side of the story is irrelevant if it was flipped. And I think King is saying, let's pay attention to that. But at the same time, like, this is just kind of the way that the world works. There's an ugly side to it and a good side to all of it. And really, like I said, would I like to be able to benefit from some of the things that women get to benefit from? I don't know, because that would fundamentally change my reality, and I don't know that I want my reality to change. So I just kind of take the good with the bad and roll with the punches.
So hold on.
But
So let me ask you this. So have you ever benefited from handsome privilege before? I'm sure you have. Isn't that
indirectly, maybe indirectly, like I may have benefited from that indirectly, meaning perhaps I was getting some kind of treatment that I wasn't asking for or immediately recognized, but it was taking place nevertheless. I can't say that I've directly benefited from that. Like, I don't know that I've gone anywhere publicly or been able to get into anything for free or discounted or anything of that nature because I was a good looking man. I
you
don't
sure?
think any of that has ever happened.
All right. So for instance, right? What I was about to say. So just a regular scenario. You're in a grocery store, right? And you're in the back of the line. It's a long line, and the cashier, they look at you or whatever, and then they look at you, and I'm looking. I'm like, man, I only got two things, man. You know, and then they look at you like, you know what? This guy's too handsome to wait in the back of this line.
No,
Yeah,
no,
you never got that. This guy's too
no,
handsome for this.
not at all. No,
All
not
right.
at
So
all.
one more. So have you ever been well groomed, well put together, went somewhere, and then people sensed your level of professionalism and gave you, you know, extra courtesy?
Define extra courtesy. Give me an example.
Like, let's say, they're just being very nice. They're really trying to. They're not heavy-handed treating you. They feel like you're a person that that deserves this kind of treatment. You know, because because I'll put it this way: there's times that I dress down, and there's times I dress up. And when I'm dressed down, I'm getting treated heavy. When treated down or dressed down, it's heavy-handed treatment everywhere I go. Now, when I dress up, then it's different. Then it's like, hey, this guy, what are you waiting over there for? Oh, me? Yeah, get over here. It's like, all right, because this guy don't wait for stuff. Look at him. But the guy that come in grungy that just, and it's like, oh, sir, please get away from me.
I
You've been,
don't. I
you've
don't
been,
know.
you've been
I
handsome
don't.
for
I
so
don't.
long, you can't tell. That's
I
that's
don't know. Well, see, and the thing is, I've never put that to the test by doing a control versus variable experiment.
do
Like,
one.
let me go somewhere dressed down, see what happens, and then let me go the same place
That's what I'm
dressed up
saying.
and see if it's any different. Like, I've never conducted that kind of an experiment before.
I
I'm
think that
pretty
might be
consistent
right.
in terms of how I present myself
That's what
publicly.
I'm saying.
So all I can say is maybe, but I wouldn't know because
Because you
I've
never
always presented myself publicly the same way. But I don't think so. And even if I have, it hasn't been a direct, tangible benefit in the same way that women get to. And
absolutely.
here's the thing. And here's the thing. I don't want it. I don't want it because I'm good. I'm good where I am, and I'm fine taking the good with the bad and understanding that I get the benefit from certain things, and other things I kind of have to work a little harder for. Like, women often wonder why are guys so crazy, right? Like, when it comes to breakups, or like, women wonder, and I've lost count of how often I've tried to help women understand this. Like, I've had so many different conversations with females who don't understand why guys get so crazy when it comes to like being attached to them or cuffing them or just being deranged, or if they don't want to talk to them no more, the guy's going weird on them, constantly hitting them up, calling them, doesn't want to stop, just being extra persistent to the point where it's like intrusive because they've clearly told this guy they don't want any parts of it. And so they basically had to learn how to navigate around men in such a way as to not give them too much because they don't want guys to go crazy on them. And they've always wondered, why do guys do that? I don't get it. And they really do think that it's this thing with guys just being crazy across the board. And what I tried to explain to them is, look, we don't live the same reality. Like, men and women live different realities. That guy is acting like that because he knows that if you aren't interested in him, he's going to have to go back to the drawing board. And who knows how long it's going to take before he meets another girl who's interested in him. It could take 6-9 months. It's that it can take a while. Meanwhile, you probably already got dudes in your phone right now who you can be talking to. And even if you didn't, your reality is constructed in such a way that the minute you walk out of the door, no matter where you go, several times a day, there's going to be some kind of interaction where there's a guy who's interested in you. Men don't live that reality. I don't walk out of the door and go to the grocery store and get approached by women. It's not a part of my reality. Not saying that I'm unsuccessful with women, but as a man, it's not my reality. But women are so absorbed in their own world. Like, women, I have found, and I'm not necessarily trying to, I'm not trying to bash women or criticize them. I'm literally just pointing this out as a fact, as a matter of observation.
Mhm.
Women, I found, they are not very perceptive when it comes to understanding that there are other people who don't live the same reality as them. They tend to believe everyone's reality is the same as theirs. So they think that they're getting as much attention. They think that men get as much, and I've literally heard women say this. They think men get as much attention from women that women get from men. No, we don't. We don't live the same realities.
It's
There is
like
an inherent there is an inherent double standard baked into our very nature. As a guy, I have to go out into as a guy, I have to go out and assert. And as an asserter, I women have the right of refusal, not me. I don't have the power to make them want me. I have to work to earn that. Whereas you just get it because you exist as a female. So a lot of times that's why guys go crazy because guys don't want to have to go back to the drawing board. Dudes don't want to be dolo. So if you don't want them or you ain't interested, they're going to be dolo, and no guy wants to be dolo. And they just never, they don't, it doesn't click for them until you explain it in that way. So like when it comes to the double standards, it is what it is. Like, they exist, but understand that we don't all live the same reality. Jada is able to write her stupid book and get on her stupid show and make her husband look like a buffoon, because when it comes to relationships, women tend to, if the relationship is in a state of relative upheaval, no matter what the circumstances are, benefit from the fact that they will nevertheless be perceived as a victim. Whereas for men, they will almost always be perceived as a perp. And so that's why it is the way it is. So it's like, don't necessarily get bent out of shape about it. But I do think that women owe at least enough honesty to the conversation to have enough perspective to understand this and not literally think that there's truth to the fact that women are always victims and men are always perps. And so that's where I think a person like King will come out and say, y'all bitches on some crazy shit, which she does do that from time to time when she notices that people are being unreasonable when it comes to her critiques. When not her, but when it comes to people's critiques of certain stories like this. But double standards, yeah, I'm all for it too. But I'm all for it because I wouldn't want my reality to change. And whether I get to benefit from certain things, relatively speaking, in the same way that women do, perhaps I wouldn't notice that because I weigh things based upon tangible benefit directly to me. So unless I'm getting money or getting access to something or getting free parking, unless I'm getting some sort of tangible benefit that I can touch, feel, and see, to me it's hearsay, and it's not the same. And I don't know that it's an apples to apples comparison.
it's not. But but the reason why I ask is because I mean they're subtle, but they do exist. I mean,
Yeah.
and like you said, your standard of dress, you don't. It's like Doug from Nickelodeon, bro. You open it, it's crispy everything. I've never. By the way, everybody, I've never seen this man dressed down. This is not. I don't. Everywhere he goes, it's like, man, we could be going to just pump gas somewhere. This guy's out here looking like he about to walk a runway. So that's why he don't know the difference. He gets it every day. So yeah, man, do a control study, man. Walk out the house looking like me one day, and just because the times I be looking like Ebenezer, and I'm sitting there trying to do my look in the back of the line because it's too long, and they're like, oh, that jackass can wait. that jackass can wait. And I'm like, come on, I only got 2 things. They're like, get this asshole out of here. So yeah, man. But when I'm just saying, I've noticed. So give it a try,
Yeah.
man. A little fun little study. But it was one thing you mentioned, and oh yeah, the victim thing. The reason why I think is because women already view relationships. You think men view relationships like prison? Women do, and they feel oppressed at all times. And so they feel as though, as the oppressed beings, if something bad happened, it had to be systematic something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh no, it's systemic. You can't see it, but it's there. It's hidden.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah.
what system? What misogyny? And he's
Patriarchy.
patriarchy. And so if you will, if you want to black the whiteness, he's practicing white supremacy. So he's oppressing me. So they look at it in the same context. So if a guy is manning and something goes wrong in a relationship while he's manning, they're gonna go, yeah, because he's an oppressive jackass. That's why.
Yeah.
What did he do, Jada? Unbelievable. Now it was unbelievable. but still. But yeah, super, super messy situation. Love the content. Gold mine here. Will and Jada, we need something new out here. And because listen, entertainment has jumped off the big screen and it has jumped into everyday life. And so these politicians and entertainers going through shenanigans we cover every week, this is the real juice. This is the real. And I love this reality TV. So keep bringing this on because I don't know, it's close enough to real, and I dig it. It's good. It's good art. It's good art.
Yeah, I hear that. Look, man, anything that can help us talk about some interesting topics on the Conscious Approach channel, I'm all for it. So, like I said, it's the gift that keeps on giving. These individuals have joined Kanye and Kyrie and everybody else who we have labeled as friends of the channel, and I am all the more thankful for them. So, messy, it is what it is. But the double standards are what they are. So I just say everybody have perspective, know that you benefit, in certain respects, but also things work against you. And like you say, be on your square and understand things. Like, don't get too high or too low because things work against you, but there are things that are also benefiting you.
Right.
So just have perspective and know that both things are going on at the same time, and just learn how to capitalize as much as possible on the things that you benefit from. And stop being, so worrisome of all the things that don't, because it ain't that serious.
And communicate with the people next to you and close to you who be carrying these things around, double standards, like they're real.
Yeah.
And so you got to communicate the subtle nuances to these people so everybody can just calm down. Yeah. And because as soon as people get that double standard chip on their shoulder, shit just goes haywire. Logic goes out the window. So, the reason why I was, saying what I was saying what you just said is that, communicate this out with your people. Get this fleshed out. If they do feel some type of way about something, talk about it. You'll be amazed what happens when you actually open your mouth and say something instead of
Yeah.
assuming and all that bullshit.
Yeah, I concur, man. That's a very good point. So yeah, thanks, Will and Jada. Keep bringing it on. She'll Jada when that book comes out. I'm sure we'll talk about certain excerpts on this channel. Can't wait. She'll be the older version of Brittany Renner. Can't wait. Can't
Tupac
wait.
fantasies.
Yeah, facts. Yeah,
It will
I
be
can't. Yeah, I can't wait for that. I can't wait for how these liberal people are gonna celebrate that book.
oh, man. Will.
Okay, next up, we're going to talk about Magic Johnson. So we have discussed in the past the Washington football team, the Commanders. A while back, we did a video talking about how reportedly Jay-Z and Jeff Bezos are behind the shadows working to put together an ownership group to put in a bid for the Washington Commanders. However, there has not been much news about that recently, but there has been news about other potential ownership groups coming in to buy the squad, the Washington Commanders. So Magic Johnson is a part of the latest potential group to come in to purchase the Washington Commanders. For anybody who doesn't know, Daniel Snyder is the current owner of the Washington Commanders. He is a very controversial person. There was this whole study done that found that the organization was, participating in all of the isms: racism, sexism, misogynistic, blah 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 blah. All of the left wing stuff that people love talking about these days, and so he's radioactive, and there's pressure for him to sell the team because people just don't want him to own the team no more, I guess. So he said that he's exploring the idea of selling the team, but he has an asking price of $6 billion, which would be the most expensive purchase of any professional sports franchise in history, eclipsing what is currently the record, which is the Denver Broncos, which I believe was purchased for $4.5 billion by the Walmart family. So this particular article from TMZ says Magic Johnson Group submits $6 billion bid to buy Commanders. Magic Johnson may soon be adding the title of NFL owner to his legacy. The NBA icon is part of a group that just submitted an offer to buy the Washington Commanders that meets Dan Snyder's asking price. ESPN's Adam Schefter reported the Lakers Hall of Famer, alongside 76ers owner Josh Harris and billionaire Mitchell Rales, officially submitted a $6 billion bid to buy the franchise on Tuesday. The development is substantial because Snyder, who revealed in late 2022 that he was exploring selling the Commanders, has been reportedly seeking $6 billion for his club, which could mean a sale to the Johnson Harris Rales group is now imminent. The move would spell bad news for Jeff Bezos and Jay-Z, as the two Titans had big interest in buying the Commanders, even grabbing dinner in LA back in November to formulate a potential purchase plan. Others interested in buying the Washington franchise reportedly included Canadian billionaire Steve Apostolopoulos. I hope I'm saying that right, but he's rich as hell, so who cares if I'm saying his name wrong? And Houston Rockets owner Tillman Fertitta. If the Commanders do sell, the $6 billion deal would break the previous record sale for an NFL franchise set last summer, when billionaire Rob Walton purchased the Denver Broncos for $4.65 billion. So that's that number. As for Johnson, it would add to a seriously impressive business resume that already features ownership stakes in the Dodgers, the Sparks, and the Los Angeles Football Club, which I believe is soccer. So I think that this is interesting. Magic is kind of a beast out there in the business world, but if this goes down, he could be. Now, they don't necessarily get into the weeds with who would be the majority owner because it's an ownership group. So there's obviously no details at this point in terms of percentages and shares. So we don't know who would be the majority owner or whether all three of them. I don't know how this stuff works. If there's somebody in the comments who understands how this stuff goes, they can let us know. This is above my pay grade in terms of money and being rich. But, what's interesting to me is Magic Johnson being a part of it. So there you have it. If this panned out, it could very well put the kibosh on the Jay-Z Jeff Bezos thing. You and I had fun talking about that in a video late last year, I think, is when we talked about that. So, do you have any impressions of this potential situation going down with Magic in this group?
I like it, love it. Um, I'm all for Magic. Um, he's I just like how he just handles things and does stuff. So um, I heard people trying to kick dust up on his name, business wise, a few times here or there, but the guy's still rocking and rolling and getting things done. I mean, decades later. I mean, he's been getting in the game since the '90s with all of this stuff. So I love everything about it. Snyder, he's an interesting character. I like the fact that he got pissed off at the other owners and said he was going to start exposing some people. I'm still waiting for more stuff. The Jerry Jones thing was hot. I don't know where the hell he got that picture from, but I want more dirt. I thought I was going to get more dirt on GMs. I'm not getting that, or owners. I'm not getting that. But $6 billion adjusted for inflation makes sense to me. Makes sense to me. Yeah, it's the greatest, highest deal ever. But I mean, look at the economy right now. So, and honestly, the Walmart. You said Walmart family bought the Broncos, right? That's a
Yeah.
smart move, man. And because one thing about the NFL, that's gonna keep rocking.
Yep.
And that's a hell of an investment to just hunker down and get an asset in it, because that's not going nowhere. So for Magic to get in, like you said, who knows the percentage, but bro, I'll take 1%.
Yeah.
Let me get in on that group. I'll give y'all 0.002, percent of that. Give me something so I can get something rolling in. So how about you, man? You like this move? You like Magic? How do you feel about Snyder? How do you feel about the name of Commanders? There's a lot going on
Yeah, I was definitely waiting for the whole thing to come crashing down with Snyder. I was really hoping that he was going to be a whistleblower.
here. Yeah,
I was looking for a I was looking for NFL Watergate. That's what I was looking for. And we never got it, man. And that sucks because I know a lot of those other owners got dirt too. It is what it is. Like I said, man, you know, these franchises, Colin Cowherd, I brought this up last week. Colin Cowherd points out that with the current volatility of the world economy, not just the US economy, but the world economy, people don't know whether to invest money in real estate. People don't know whether to invest money in crypto. People don't know whether to invest money in, the stock market. You know, it's so volatile. I saw some report Disney's shares reached like a 25-year low or something at the end of 2022. That the Disney Plus thing, stock prices are going down. People don't know where to put their money. The market is so volatile. And Cowherd points out that the one sure thing in this world still is professional sports franchises. That's the one thing that a rich person can put money into and be relatively certain that they are going to turn a profit and they're not going to lose money. And the NFL is such a conglomerate in this country. It's a money printer. The Washington Commanders have not been viable in terms of Super Bowl contention since the early to mid 90s, yet they print money year over and the games sell out year over. And it doesn't matter whether there's a controversy over the name or the mascot, people come out in droves because the NFL in this country is a pastime. So whenever you get to put money into one of these franchises, you know you're going to triple your worth at least. You're going to come out on top. These things are a money printer. They're the only sure thing in an economy that is otherwise extremely volatile. These franchises are the only sure thing. So I'm in favor of this because number one, in retro, looking at this juxtaposed to the potential selling of the Charlotte Hornets by Michael Jordan, and how I'm disappointed in that because it's one less black owner owning a professional team. This can sort of replace that if it goes down. Obviously, we're speculating here. We're sort of projecting into the future. Obviously, this is all speculative at the moment. Nothing's set in stone. We're just kind of talking about this for fun on this channel for content. But presuming or not, or rather being presumptuous to believe that Jordan is eventually going to sell the Hornets, one less owner in the NBA or in the sports landscape, period. Now we can have that replaced with this particular situation with Magic and the Commanders. But what I like even more about this is, to me, I perceive it as a double whammy because it's the replacement of a black owner in a professional sports franchise on top of the fact that it's taking place in the cabal, otherwise known as the NFL. The NFL, in which I have always personally believed that when it comes to diversity at the ownership level, there is an impenetrable wall that will never be breached. That's what I've always thought. Not because there are, not necessarily because of the fact that there are active forces trying to keep people from being a part of it, but because of what I just expressed. These franchises are priceless in terms of their worth. So the individuals who own them aren't looking to sell them. They're not. They're going to keep them in the family, or they're going to, pass off ownership to the next person who is within the circle to keep everything going. But it's usually maintained within the family. You can look all the way down the line, whether it's the Steelers, the Giants, the Cowboys, the Patriots. These are essentially billion-dollar family-run businesses. They don't change hands. They don't change ownership. They remain with these individuals into perpetuity because they are absolutely priceless. And so they just don't get sold. And so for Magic to be a black guy to be a part of the group, on top of the fact that it's the cabal that is the NFL, I look at this as a win for sure. I'm happy about it. And I hope it goes down. I truly do. And I hope that at the very least, and this might be wishful thinking, but I hope that it's at the very least equal parts ownership between everybody involved. But if I had to guess, that's probably not going down. Magic is a very wealthy individual, but I'm just guessing that those other two guys have a little higher net worth than Magic does. So I don't necessarily know that it's going to be equitable, but Magic being a part of it to me is a W. And I definitely like it better than the Bezos Jay-Z deal because, and I've expressed this before, I get a little disenchanted with the fact that the best and the brightest when it comes to opportunities for black people, especially in this particular context, seems to always have to revolve around like a rapper. I don't like that. It makes my skin crawl. It kind of rubs me the wrong way. And I'm saying that as a person, I'm saying that as somebody who is a Jay-Z fan for sure. I
big
am of the music, of the music,
yeah.
of the music. But otherwise, I don't know. There's something that I don't like. I feel something intrinsically off about these rappers being a part of these situations. I don't know. I can't put my finger on it exactly. I don't necessarily think that hip hop people and rappers represent the best of us as a community. Sometimes in certain respects, I kind of think it's the opposite. So, for Magic, who is otherwise to me upstanding, and he definitely has a track record for helping people, with his Starbucks and Burger King and the movie theaters and all of the stuff that he does, employing people. Now granted, these are all institutions of modern day slavery, but nevertheless, you're employing people, you're putting people to work. It is what it is. I can't knock that all the way. And Magic has a track record for this stuff that I appreciate. Putting black people to work and all of this kind of stuff, putting money in people's pockets. So I can appreciate the sentiment, and I hope that it goes forward because for me, it's a three-pronged thing. It's putting the kibosh on Jay-Z and Jeff Bezos, replacing Jordan, and then this being in the NFL. I think that that's a win, and so I hope that it comes to fruition. I really do.
Yeah, man, I agree with that. I hope Magic gets this. Me personally, as long as he's in a group, he balling to me. It's a hell of a flex. Uh, you know, just another milestone, another piece of security in his overall, legacy, whatever he's looking after. And I love it, man. And as far as the the cabal of what you call it in the NFL, and I told you, man, it is a it got started from organized crime.
People
And
need to do research on that. Maybe we should do a video, maybe down the line, just kind of non-celebrity related, where you kind of get into that because people don't realize this stuff. They just think it
yeah,
was always this sports league.
yeah, and so the history of it's deep. That's why Vegas and them are so close. There's something going on. There's a racket going on somewhere. All right. And we watch the final product, on Sundays, but sometimes the referees get a little too involved in the game sometimes, if you know what I mean. Same thing with the NBA. So when you're watching these things, that's what I don't like. When I feel like there's interference going on. Uh, can't stand it, man. That is one thing that irks me. I like to see a good game. But one thing about college basketball, and I have not been watching it, but since my Canes are in the Final Four,
How about that?
how about that, boy? I'm sitting there watching these games. I'm like, these refs ain't calling shit, and I love it. Them boys out there playing basketball. So yeah, I like that. It's better than the NBA, Olay defense, and referees calling, if you breathe on James Harden beard.
Oh my
So
god, yeah.
I can't stand it, man. Everything's free throws and commercial breaks.
And threes, yeah, free throws and threes, yeah,
Yeah, but I
yeah,
digress. I let it
right.
way, I let it way over there. But like I said, man, uh, I think it's great. He's been a good role model in the sense of how to transition from athlete to business mogul, because it's literally right there for all of these guys. Uh, when you're earning, like for instance, we were talking about John Morant and him earning hundreds of millions of dollars, in his contract, and it's just like, if you're getting hundreds of millions of dollars today, right now, with all this stuff going on, you can position yourself so well that you won't have to dribble a ball again. And Magic, you know, maybe being him because him retiring the way he had to and all this other stuff, maybe he knew he had to find another way to get to it. And then he just landed on being a businessman, and he's just been running with that. But he's a good example for all of these guys that are getting life-changing money. Don't get the Bugatti, all right? Don't get the Ghost, all right? Don't get anything that these young rappers are driving, Teslas. Don't do it, and put yourself in a position, man, where you can really get generational wealth. People just say generational wealth because it's millions of dollars. Well, now we see that ain't going nowhere, especially when they be taxing half. So you got to find a way to invest it into something. Magic is doing that. He's laying down the framework, and I love every second of it. So kudos to him. Snyder, he knows what's up. His pockets aren't that deep to really go against those crime families like that. So he probably got a cease and desist. Probably got a horse head on his pillow when he woke up. Yeah, man, you messing with these mafioso people. You can't be going around. I'm gonna expose Jerry Jones. I'm gonna expose all these. Hey, man, you barking up the wrong trees. So I think that's probably why he got a little quiet. Because I think he's got more. Because he got out in so many ways. He was just like, well, y'all do crap too. Why
Yeah,
y'all getting after me? It's like,
yeah,
yeah, Snyder, but you're taking it too far.
yeah,
Yeah, so yeah, right on, Magic. Love it, man. Love it.
yeah. I love it too, man. I do. I really hope that it goes down. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing how it plays out. But yeah, these things are money printers, and like the thing is, you know, Chris Rock said I quote comedians a lot on this channel, but that's because they speak truth. And Chris Rock said there's a difference between rich and wealthy, and people tend to use the words interchangeably, but they mean very different things. And the example that Chris Rock used back in his stand-up, I think it was the Bigger and Blacker. It was either Bigger and Blacker or Never Scared. But he said, the difference between rich and wealthy is Shaq is rich, but the white guy who writes his checks is wealthy. Wealthy is like the people who wealthy is the family who owns the color blue, stuff like that. This
Yeah.
is money that this is money that it's like it perpetuates on itself, like it lasts forever into perpetuity. Literally, it's too big to fail. You cannot do anything for it to go away. That's actually what generational wealth is. And there's a difference between being a millionaire or even being a billionaire and being somebody who is actually generationally perpetually wealthy. And like an NFL ownership stake is something that I cannot think of any. There are few things in this world from what I've seen that are a surefire bet for being able to create that or generate that more than owning an NFL team. I don't know. Like, obviously, if you are a part of the Rockefeller family or a part of the robber barons or these people who, stole land from people back in the day and, built your businesses and empires, and now those things are kind of those things are kind of lasting forever, and now your family gets the benefit. You got all of these rich families running around here that did it that way, the brick and mortar stuff, the industrialization of this country and all of that kind of stuff. Yeah. But in today's world, owning sports franchises, hitting a lick in the tech world, there's certain avenues that if you hit it at the right time, doing the right thing and making the right move, that's how you get that stuff going. And obviously, I think that the more wealthy black people we have in the world, the better. So that's a personal thing for me in terms of my personal principles and philosophy, not trying to make it a racial conversation because I think wealth for everybody is good. But obviously, me being a person who's black in this country, I revel in being able to see as many rich black people as possible. So, rich, wealthy, whatever the case may be, I kind of look at this from a holistic standpoint. And I just kind of, I kind of, I approach it from a big picture perspective. And I'm looking at certain things like, okay, if Magic is an ownership, if Magic is part owner of the the I almost said Redskins. If Matt, well, I did just say it, but I didn't mean to say it.
You
But if
did.
Magic is, yeah, if Magic is a part owner of the Commanders, maybe that means you can get more, people of color, black people specifically, who can run analytics departments, run scouting, be VPs and general managers, or more black people on the coach, all of that good stuff. So these are the type of stuff that I think about. All of the things that people in the media want to complain about, calling the NFL racist, but don't want to actually talk about what would fix it, which is more diversity at the ownership level. So this is a way for that kind of stuff to happen where we can actually see more opportunities and less racial homogenization at the very top. And because these things have a trickle down effect. So that's the kind of stuff that I'm looking at and that I'm hopeful for if the deal goes through. And plus, I just generally find Magic to be a likable person, unlike, hip hop people and rap stars and all of that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I hope the deal goes down. Everybody wants Snyder out of there because they view him as part of the problem. Personally, I'll just kind of call a spade a spade. It is what it is. But, y'all want him out of there? Get him out of there, put Magic in there along with these other people, and call it a day. I think that it's a win-win.
Yeah, and there's so much stuff around Snyder. He is an asshole. So the hell with that guy. Too many crappy character stories for me to go. Oh, give him the benefit of the doubt. He's getting a bad rap. No, he's not. This guy's an asshole. So yeah. So him getting his money, him going away. Hey man, he hit a good lick, and
Right.
he's an old man, but he's still young enough to enjoy that. So yeah, man, go ball out, do whatever, man, and let some new blood up in there, see what's going on. This might be the new trend with these groups getting in for ownership percentages instead of one person getting in there. This might be a way for the NFL to still maintain control. Because if there is division at the top of ownership, then there is no owner to jump ship or anything, because you got to play ball. And I told you, like, Vegas, the league, they got their own WWE thing going on there, and you got to play ball. You got to be ready to move with whatever. And I think that these ownership collective groups are good ways to make sure that, okay, yeah, you can get in, you can be an owner, you can be an owner too. And there's all these owners, and I think that's a good way to divvy up control. Because the Al Davises, what's that boy, Jerry Joneses.
Jerry Jones, yeah.
I think they want to do away with those types of models because they can't control those teams the way that they want. Yeah. So I think this is the new wave. But be that as it may, he's first in line, and go for it, Magic. Go.
Yeah, I agree. I wonder how much of that $6 billion kickback. Well, I wonder how much of that $6 billion Snyder's going to have to kick back.
What, like for taxes?
No, for the forces at play as you.
Yeah, the extortion is right. Yeah, I don't know, man.
I'm willing to bet that he's gonna have to kick some of that back somewhere, for sure. You ain't finna sell this team for $6 billion and just ride off into the sunset. Some of that getting kicked back. That boy kicking some of that back.
It's blood in, blood out, bro. So, you ain't just gonna walk out like this. Yeah. What is that? Call Steven Seagal, Snyder. Call Steven Seagal. Call somebody, man. You're gonna need some help.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, but whatever $6 billion, whatever he gets to keep from that, that's a pretty nice chunk of change, regardless. So
yeah,
he'll be all right. Ain't nobody worrying about him. He'll be good. He's just on to new things, man. That's it.
Yeah.
All right. So we got Blac Chyna, folks. Blac Chyna out there. Blac Chyna is the reformation project known as Blac Chyna, I should say. Before we get started with this topic, man, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Subscribe to the channel, Conscious Approach, here on YouTube. Get that notification whenever we put new content onto the channel. Be a part of the tribe. Go ahead and engage with us. We certainly appreciate you. And we appreciate everybody who has joined the tribe, man, because we enjoy putting out this logical content each and every week. So go ahead and subscribe to the channel, man. We certainly appreciate you. But yeah, Blac Chyna, the Reformation Project known as Blac Chyna. So apparently Blac Chyna has, I guess she's seen the light. She's trying to reverse pivot. She's doing a 180. She's relinquishing herself from her surgeries and tattoos and all of this stuff, and she's trying to be a better example for her kids, apparently. So this is fascinating stuff. Fascinating stuff indeed. We're going to go ahead and talk about Ms. Blac Chyna, because I would certainly characterize Blac Chyna, at least thus far, under the modern woman category. So it is interesting to see one of the poster children for modern womanhood deciding that there might be another way to go about doing things. So I'll go ahead and share my screen here. We're going to read a little bit from this article from BuzzFeed real quick. It says Blac Chyna explained that she stopped posting on her $240 million Onlyfans account for the sake of her kids. If you've been keeping up with Blac Chyna in recent years, you'll know that she's gained heaps of attention over her physical transformation. Chyna, whose real name is Angela White, has openly been documenting the process of getting her facial fillers dissolved and silicone body implants removed. Explaining why she's choosing to make her transformation public, Chyna expressed regret over getting several cosmetic procedures done at a super young age. Quote, "Enough is enough. It all has to come out," she said in an Instagram video. "Back to the baseline. Honestly, I'm just tired of the look, and it's just not flattering. It's not what I look like. It totally changed my face." Yeah, you think? "I have like naturally high cheekbones. That's just genetics," she later added. I already have the structure. I don't know why I even did all the fillers. Well, I did it because I mean, everybody was doing it. Let this be a lesson. Don't even do it, y'all. It's not even worth it. She warned her younger fans. I did it when I was so young. I didn't even give my body time to fully develop. So we try to do these things at a very young age. Just trust me, it's going to come. China has won praise over her candid honesty, with several fans commenting on her Instagram posts to commend her for publicly acknowledging her mistake. Blah, 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 blah. Let's see. And it now looks like China is making changes to other aspects of her life too. Earlier this month, China revealed that she's decided to stop posting on her OnlyFans account, which was reportedly raking in upwards of $240 million per year. China joined the site in 2020 and was labeled its highest earning celebrity later that year. I don't do OnlyFans anymore. I don't do it at all anymore, she said on the Jason Lee show this month. I'm just changing everything about me. She continued, it's a dead end. All that stuff is a dead end. And I know that I'm worth way more than that. And China went on to explain that her decision to step away from the not safe for work platform had everything to do with setting an example for her kids. 10-year-old King Cairo, whom she shares with her ex Tyga, and 6-year-old Dream, whom she shares with her ex fiance Rob Kardashian. At a certain age, they see and gravitate to everything, she said. What's more, China also revealed this week that she's gotten a demonic tattoo of a Baphomet removed from her body. It got to come off. I'm not about to have no mark of the beast, she said in an Instagram video posted on Sunday. So there's more there. All relevant links, as always, are in the description of this video if you want to continue to read that. But you pretty much get the gist of it. Blac Chyna has seen the light. And in light of wanting to set a better example for her kids, she is saying goodbye to OnlyFans. She's saying goodbye to her surgeries. She's saying goodbye to her facial fillers. She's doing tattoo removals. So, OnlyFans tends to be a topic of interest on this channel. What do you think about this about face from Blac Chyna on all of these various things?
I gotta say, this is this is quite impressive. Um, now, um, this is hundreds of millions of dollars later, but yeah, let's not forget this, right? $240 million per year since 2020. So, I mean,
That's incredible. That is
that is,
incredible.
I mean, if you want to articulate how disgusting society is right now, it's that figure. That's just to her.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. And so she's definitely got the capital to pay for all of this reversal. These other women don't. But she is telling these young ladies not to do it, which is highly recommended. So I appreciate her for doing that. Also heard that, because she was talking about her injections or whatever she got, and she said even when when she was having sex, if somebody was slapping her on her ass, it would swell up and all this other stuff going on, and she'll be out of it for a couple days because she'll get sick because of that, because the stuff seeping in her blood. And,
Oh,
yeah, this stuff is wild, and it's like, for what? For the life of me, it never was registering. It didn't make any sense to me. It was one of those things where men were, I guess, I don't know who hypes. I mean, the $240 million of people that were buying this plastic, and that's what I'm saying. Men need to come to whatever deity they go to, so they could get off their plastic fetish. It's one thing to be attracted to a lovely woman, because who isn't? And it's one thing to watch porn and all that other stuff, and it's another thing to be watching porn and all of this other stuff, and this woman's filled up with plastic, and you find that attractive. No, It was hideous. And and honestly, I don't even know. This was at the height of Nicki Minaj, um, BBL's just going crazy. So she was at she was at the tipping point at when shit started going on. So, and she was the one. I remember when I was working at Walmart, and people say, and people talk about Blac Chyna. Oh, you seen Blac Chyna, dog? She bad. I'm like, Blac Chyna. I seen this. I ain't gonna dog her now because she's reformed. But yeah, those cheekbones and stuff like that. I said, this, what is this? Oh, she bad. I'm like, this doesn't look, this looks fake. I mean, this looks, she didn't even like a person. You know, she ain't had a little Kim thing going on, but I can tell that's not her real face and everything else. So to me, it was always hideous. I'm glad it's health, man. She done had some health scares. I'm sure of it. And she's like, get it out. Well, what? All of it. I can afford it. Get it out. I already made enough money. Get this shit out of me. It's for my kids. They already 10 and 48. It's like, so now you care about the kids after years of OnlyFans living, twerking and shit. One of them's 10 years old. Now you care? Nah, man. It's hundreds of millions of dollars. It's health. She was having health problems, and she wanted that crazy stuff out of her system before she rolls over and has some sudden death. So she's like, I got all this money. I want to enjoy this. I want all this other stuff, And of course, she can't be parading herself on OnlyFans with, water balloons on her chest, deflated ones at that. So what do you say, man? How do you think this thing pans out? You like it? You love it? You hate it? What's going on?
I'm first, but I don't want to get off topic, but I first want to address the $240 million thing.
Yeah.
I can't let that go. I got to address that real quick.
What is that? Goodness gracious.
That is some sad, I was listening to All Out Show last week on Shade 405. And frequently they have like porn stars and various other sex workers on as guests on the show. And Rude Jude was talking to this one sex working chick. I don't even remember this woman's name because who cares? But apparently she's big in OnlyFans and on Instagram, of course. And Rude Jude, he was talking to her and he's like, he was like, I feel conflicted. On the one hand, I respect your grind because you've built, you make a lot of money and you do what you do and you've built this thing. But on the other hand, I can't help but acknowledge that the only reason why you're able to be successful doing this is because you get to capitalize off of the huge, large segment of our society of losers who don't care about trying to meet women. They'll just pay you on the internet for nothing, essentially. And he said that. And I was in my car like, thank God somebody is the voice of reason out here in the media instead of constantly making apologists and entrepreneurs out of these women who aren't doing anything but they're not doing anything but capitalizing off of a society of male losers. That's all you're getting to do. You're successful because there is a huge swath of incel, non-social skills having loser men who would rather line your pockets than to actually go out into the world and meet women. That's why you get to do what you do. And, he said it, he realizes it, I've been realized it, we respectively realize it. And I think to hear a number like 240 informs me on just how bad this epidemic is.
Per year.
The fact that this woman makes $240 million like that, to me, that is some sad, depraved, disgusting shit. It really is. I can't believe that. I really can't believe that the number is that high. What are y'all doing? Stop paying these chicks for what? They don't give you anything. They do nothing for you. Stop subscribing to these dumbass pages.
Oh.
I can't believe that. I really can't believe that. I really can't.
But
but
I'll piggyback off this when I remember. But go ahead.
Okay, but moving on to Black China. So I often, the trickle down effect is real. So we talk about mind control and how palatable uh, modern mind control is, whether it's social media, whether it's streaming shows, whether it's music, entertainment in general. These are all various forms of mind control. If you do not consume these things with a filter, they have the ability to influence your behavior and your decision making without you even realize where you're getting it from. That's what these things do. Um, and the reason why I bring up the mind control is because I talk about the trickle down effect. And people, you know, will look at people like Black China or any of these other people who do OnlyFans or any of this other stuff, regular everyday women who aren't celebrities, who are otherwise anonymous, they're not public figures. And this is how stuff becomes more pervasive and it becomes normalized. You often talk about how um, sexual deviancy, there's an aspect of it that has become normalized. We no longer look at it as deviant because it's just become a normal part of what we do. It's everyday life. And the way that it becomes normalized is because the messaging that you consume on such a regular basis that tells you that it's normal is so readily available to you that you're now capitulating and you're now copying the behaviors. Now women are all over the place doing OnlyFans. It's no longer a niche thing, it's a normal thing. And how it became normal is because mind control has created a trickle down effect to the rest of the general population who now perceives these things to be normal behavior when they actually are not. But if I can say that that is an evidence, if I can say that that's evidence of the trickle down effect at work in a negative way, then I also have to acknowledge that there is the possibility for the trickle down effect to take place in a positive way. So China reversing like this can perhaps offer up a trickle down effect to any impressionable women out there who are thinking that OnlyFans is the way to go in life. And trust me, there are many women who are looking at OnlyFans and saying this is a viable option for me. Many We are moving further and further away from the brick and mortar. We're moving further away from that. We're moving further away from brick and mortar. We're moving further away from storefronts. People are now saying, I don't need to get educated. Screw college, screw trades, screw higher education, screw expertise. All I need to do is become an influencer or become a sex worker on the internet. That's how I'm going to get on, and that's how I'm going to make my money, be financially free. Random anonymous chicks who are otherwise attractive but don't contribute anything meaningful to society are getting on OnlyFans. And the sad part is that they're having their decision to do this reinforced because they're being paid to do it by these losers on the internet who don't mind lining their pockets. However, it does have a ceiling. There's a catch 22 to it, and the catch 22 is when you devote a significant portion of your life to being a sex worker. There's a price to be paid, and you don't realize the price to be paid until it's too late to do anything to reconcile your initial decision to do it in the first place. So you might realize later on down the line in the future that the decision to do it wasn't worth the price that you paid ultimately. So probably best to go another direction and do something different. So maybe, perhaps, Black China making this decision can send a signal to some of these chicks out here living in the world doing this new human stuff, being sex workers and doing this new weirdo stuff and moving further and further away from the brick and mortar and the education and the trade and just learning something that you can capitalize on in terms of your latent talents and using that in terms of being able to make your money and all of that kind of stuff. So maybe there's a trickle down aspect of this where you have a lot of these people out here who will say, she's decided that she ain't gonna do it. She regrets it. Let me go a different direction, but because perhaps this isn't the right way for me to go about doing this. Because trust and believe, for China, it's over. For China, it's a wrap. For her, it's over. She spent far too much time being a sex worker, being a stripper, getting the surgeries, getting the facial fillers, having babies by rappers and Kardashians. Her time is come and gone. The
She
damage to
did the
her is
only
done. Yeah. The damage to her is quite, she literally checked off the slore box in every
Yeah.
way imaginable. Have a baby by a rapper, have a baby by a reality star who's bipolar, be a stripper, do OnlyFans, get butt surgeries and face. She's ran the gamut. She's run the gamut. So the damage to her is she's done. Now, perhaps she can be reformed, and I don't know who's going to sign up to pick up the pieces of her ravaged soul. Who knows? But she has all of her millions of dollars to sleep on at night to help her feel better about herself. But the damage is done in terms of her general appeal. But if there's any good that can come from this, maybe other people can take cues from her decision to try and gain some semblance of her humanity back and themselves make different decisions. So that's kind of how I see it. Trickle down in a positive way because we often lament on the trickle down in a negative way. So maybe this is a result that can come from that. In terms of her, she's done. Her goose is cooked for sure. Been that way. Um, you know, can't put bun back in that oven. It is what it is. But for other people who might be on the fringes, maybe this gives them the wherewithal to jump back on the right side of the fence instead of drifting closer and closer to the wrong side.
Yeah, I mean, we done heard, kingpins come home and say, "Hey, man, jail ain't the way. I shouldn't have been selling dope." And these guys idolize these guys, watch their documentaries, and still go do it. So, yeah, so you still gonna hear them girls go, "Oh yeah, girl, I hear that, but this ass is flat as hell. I need to go do something about this." And this is the thing, ladies. I can't stress this enough. So long as it's soft, you won. Ain't gotta be all that crazy stuff. If the thing's soft, you winning. So if it ain't, I don't know, you gotta get some tenderizer or some use those things, those massage guns, and get something, get that thing
Right.
loosened up.
And furthermore, not only are you winning because it's soft, if you really want to get some definition about yourself or whatever, and I brought this up before and I'm gonna say it again, like just adopt a fitness you don't have to be working out every day, but there's something to be said about maximizing what you have. I've seen far too many women who you would look at, all of y'all chicks out there who are thinking about doing the cosmetic thing, the surgery thing. I've seen far too many women who you would think don't really have a whole lot going on, and they get in the gym and they're using the booty builders and they're on the squat rack and they're doing lunges and they're doing deadlifts. Next thing you know, when they put on a pair of pants, that thing looking right. It's but go ahead.
Not for the muscle booties. I don't know how soft
No,
they
no, no. I'm
are.
not saying no, no, no. I'm not saying become muscle bound. I'm saying just hitting a little workout, lower body exercises, but you retain the softness.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
not
keep
I'm
the
not saying go I'm not saying go all the way muscle
okay,
because
I
you
got
you
you.
still retain the softness.
Oh, so you meant right like that. You meant looking right,
If it's
right.
if it's that important to you, if you obsessing over it that much, yeah,
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 might as well, right? But
yeah,
that's why they go to get the air quote BBLs, because they don't want to do any work. It's
correct,
lazy girls.
correct, yeah,
Some of these girls don't even really be fat like that. They just ain't curvy or whatever, and they'll still get their stomach tapered up and looking crazy, and still let them tarnish their stomach. So why you let them do that to your stomach? It looked like Freddy Krueger's skin, the way it is
yeah.
just moved around. It's like that don't even look like a real torso no more. And she all on IG thinking she bad. But it's jackasses and bots gassing her ass up. Hey man, that's another thing too, man. We gotta talk about that. They said damn near half the internet is bots, bro.
I believe that. Yeah,
And I was thinking it was just, I was calling people bots, but they're talking about like actual bots. So with actual robots and actual bot people, jeez, man, how many real people on the internet? They're only found here at the Conscious Approach. So thank you guys for watching, man. Thanks for not
Yeah.
being bots. Bots,
Yeah.
if y'all are watching, drop a comment. Jesus Christ. What are y'all doing? If y'all bot watching our videos, at least bot comment. Jeez. But yeah, man. So what did I get in that tangent for? Oh, and then let me bring this up because this is the part I want to talk about with the 42 million or the 240 million. Like in, I don't know if it's China, Japan, but they got like apps where the apps talk to them, be compassionate, good morning. Over there, they're getting in relationships with apps. So you think OnlyFans is sick because these guys are getting compassion from a woman who's threatening them. Donate more. You don't really love me, do you? $5? And they give more. I've seen those videos. We should show those too. It's madness. And but people are in Asia, so it's either China, Japan, I don't know which one, but it's already taking shape. But those
Yeah.
people are in so much isolation over there due to, the disease that they're on such a lockdown that they'll take anything. And it's getting sad over there, bro. So it's getting that way here. Now we
Yeah.
haven't reached that extreme yet, but no, I think we have. And I think it was an app out there where it was flirting with its users. It was supposed to be there to be a help, to help them. But then they realized once they started flirting with the users, it got more engagement. So the bot they started programming the bot to basically be in a relationship with the person. So, and the people were such in a vulnerable state because they got it for psychological help that they started actually caring for the robot.
Yeah.
Boy, hey, it's
Wow,
happening, bro. It's happening. And I'll give this one analogy. So I get this analogy of like internet censorship, where we grew up and it was 31 flavors, and we knew all 31 flavors. The 31 flavors we knew. And our grandparents, they knew about 39, but we knew 31. The censorship from the school system, the college system, internet, media outlets, the censorship is narrowing people's scope of reality. And so now they really only know what's been catered and put in their face. And so there's no critical thinking, there's no any of that. And their frame of reference has just been the indoctrination. That's why if you talk to a 10-year-old right now and you say something about the transgender person, that kid will correct you. And they're not even in the trans community.
Mm-hmm.
That kid will correct you. They'll say, hey, you're wrong for that. They're a person just like you. I know you're a person, but why the hell are you wearing them pants? He's got his ass out. He's wearing assless chaps out here. I should laugh at that. No, he's an individual. And it's like, oh man, they got this little kid.
Oh
And
yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
and that kid, and then so now this is what we're living in. And one of the things, I say, don't be too high, don't be too low, man. One of the hardest things for me to grasp nowadays, man, is the fact that nobody is living in reality no more. Everybody's in la la land. It's like, bro, wake up. But everybody is just, but not everybody, but you know what I mean? The complete, like, the percentage of people, man, that are aware right now is very scary. And that's why whenever you see somebody on TV that's either doing an interview or wherever you're on your phone, you watching whatever, you see an interview and you see an impressive person, You go, this is an impressive person. Damn, like this is refreshing. Normally I get knuckleheads on here. It's just everybody's just, you know, and we grew up, man, in that time in the 90s where being a dunce was glorified. So
Mm-hmm.
so TV shows, they always had a dumb character. They were the funniest one. So if you want to be funny, be dumb. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. So all the movies, so the clueless, the this, the that. Hey, just be a dunce.
Mm-hmm.
And and people, I told you, man, I was doing it in school. I fell back because being a dunce, I thought was the thing. And of course, growing up and whatever, whatever. But then now you see that some people didn't get out of that wave.
Yeah.
They thought it was cool to not turn in their homework assignment. They're 30 something years old, not turning in their homework at work. And then they're wondering why they're on the chopping block at work. It's like, man, you're carrying these habits. The shit ain't cool. So yeah, man. So I brought that up, man. So that 200 something million, bro. Hey, man, there's just gonna be a new queen of OnlyFans now. Those
Yeah.
guys
Yeah.
thinking
Yeah.
that they're gonna just throw it to somebody else. It won't stop. And
Yeah, I believe that. Yeah.
yeah, and I
Mm-hmm.
told you, man, the little bit of time that I was on TikTok, I was running across videos where Jits was sitting there saying, "Oh, OnlyFans pages, y'all need to check out." And they're showing these girls, and they're like, and these they Jits. I'm talking about 17, 18, 19 looking your kids. But they think that this is the new thing. So they sign up for OnlyFans like it's Netflix. So they
Mm-hmm.
don't think it's a big deal. So that's how you turn. Why the hell would you do that from our generation? Like the reason, like our generation and older go, why would you do that? But these young kids, they only know 17 flavors,
Yeah.
not 31, yeah, and not 38. So hey, man, I'm glad she's saying something, but of course, we talk about fringe people here a lot. So hopefully, fringe ladies, hopefully y'all taking heed and do not do this crap. Do not do it.
It's just, the thing is, like, you have to understand, there's a price to be paid for the decisions that you make. And, you know, I believe that there's a large contingent in the West that relishes in social anarchy. People want to live in a world where you can do and say whatever you want and be free of consequences. That's what people want. But co- consequences exist for a reason. Um, a lack of consequences. You don't want to live in a world devoid of consequences. Trust me. You already have we already have enough deranged behavior taking place as it is, with at least an attempt to retain certain modicums of rules and consequences in place. If you get rid of that stuff, good good luck trying to live in that world. Okay, you know what I'm saying? And I'm, mental health issues, school shootings, all of these sorts of things. Imagine living in a world devoid of consequences. And imagine how much those things will increase in frequency. And, get back to me on how much you want to relish in your social anarchy. But we have a lot of people who want to live in a world devoid of consequences. Just everyone do and say whatever you want and not be held accountable, not have to suffer any consequences. And, likewise, you have a lot of people who want to live in a world where you can just be a sex worker and it be viewed upon as nothing. you know there's people who want to live in a world and look at a chick who does OnlyFans and look at a woman who's like a lawyer and view them the same, as if they're somehow the same thing, devoid of consequences, social anarchy. We want sex work to be normalized to the point where it's viewed as just another normal profession. That's what people want. But I'm sorry, like, we don't live in that world, people. And if I have anything to say about it, we never will. There's no world that I live in that makes sense in which you can just be a sex worker and not have to take and not have a toll taken on you at some point in the future. There's a price to be paid for that. There's a price to be paid for that. It just is. Ask any porn. Why do you think these porn stars do what they do for 2 or 3 years and they get out? You can't sustain that for life. You can't sustain that for a career. You can't just do that into perpetuity and come out of it on the other side and everything's all good and normal. No, that's not how life is. There's prices to be paid for that. If you're willing to sacrifice what you sacrifice to do that stuff, then go be with God. Make your decision. But understand that there's a price to be paid for that. And once you see what that price is, you might wish that you had made a different choice. So for me, perhaps China saying this is not the way. Sure, she's already, like I said, damage for her is already done, but she's already made her money. So, she can walk away from it like it is what it is. I did what I did. But maybe it can be a signal to some people on the fringes who are looking at this stuff. And, because, you're always going to have, there's like a general mean, right? And so you have people who are above the mean, people who are at the mean, and people who are below the mean. And you're going to have certain people who are right around the mean who intrinsically look at modern day sex work and say this might be a viable option because my generation is telling me it is, but intrinsically I feel some type of way about it. There's something that's not all the way right about it. And so maybe those people can look at China saying this stuff, making these public things on her social media where she's documenting how she's going back to what she was before, her natural state. And they can say, I don't know if I want my face to look like I'm in a horror film. Maybe I don't want my face to always look like I was an extra in Paranormal Activity. Maybe that's not what I want. Maybe I don't want to be having sex and have to take a break because there's like I feel my injection moving and doing weird. Maybe I don't want that life for myself. Maybe I don't want that life for myself. And so, oh man, China's like saying that she now doesn't like some of this stuff. Maybe there is a different path, for me, instead of deciding that I'm just gonna, embrace this weirdo society that I am living in, which is trying to convince me that being a sex worker is just as normal as being, a lawyer or a doctor or an architect or a beautician or somebody who an esthetician or a dermatologist or a dentist or the litany of other things that you can do to make a good name for yourself. But that's what we do now in our current culture. We're literally equating all these. We're equating sex work to all of these professions as if they're somehow the same, and they're not. They're not. And so the more I think that the world is a better place the more that we dial this back and make it an outlying type thing instead of trying to force the normalization of it onto the general population, as if to say, oh, pretty soon we're gonna have people growing up at home with mom and dad, and it's like, oh, what are you gonna do after you graduate high school? You wanna, go look at colleges, you want to go to beautician school, you want to go to a trade school, you want to go, learn, you want to do some welding, maybe do IT, learn tech, go into sports. You want to be a pro athlete. What do you want to do? You want to be a personal trainer? What all stuff do you want to do? And her response is going to be, oh, I'll just do OnlyFans and sell ass. and what are mom and dad going to do? They're these younger generations of parents are now being normalized to this stuff too, desensitized. So they'll probably be like, okay, cool. Good luck. I'll support you. And I don't think that that's necessarily the best thing in the world. I really don't. So perhaps this type of thing has a reverse trickle down effect where we put this damn thing back in a box and leave it on the outside, leave it an outlier, leave it on the fringes instead of trying to mainstream it. Mainstream this weirdo new human bullshit like doing OnlyFans. Because the more we continue to normalize it, the more that we will continue to contribute to the degradation of our society, which is already in the toilet enough as it is. But hey, who cares when we live in a world where we just say, hey, everybody do what you do. Don't worry about me. I'm doing my OnlyFans. You want to do OnlyFans? Let's join OnlyFans. Let's all do OnlyFans together and, prostitute ourselves and be sex workers together, because that's the way of the world and that's the way it works. And that's what we should be doing. I vehemently disagree. And, perhaps this can be a signal to others to get all the way to get back on your square and to also disagree with it as well.
Imagine being a girl suffering from such low self-esteem and financially strapped and don't have no money and decides to launch an OnlyFans. And she has a struggle OnlyFans. And nobody wants to subscribe to her shitty ass page. And she busting it wide open on every video. That must be the saddest shit ever. You know what? Just pack it up, girl. If you busting it wide open on the internet and you ain't getting no traffic, that's just, and it's happening. So there's some girl out there with a struggle OnlyFans page. It look like her feet stink. So girl, don't even bother uploading that video. And as far as Chyna, Blac Chyna, I commend her for also removing that tattoo, that Baphomet tattoo. Those things are some wild stuff. And you don't go around playing with that stuff unless you know what it really does. And she saw what happened to her when she put it on her body, and it took over her body.
It did.
It took over her body. So part of her removing, because she got that tattoo around the same time she started getting all this stuff. So she drew a correlation to it, and that had to go too. So good move. That stuff, there's a lot of propaganda on the internet about that stuff. You might think it's cool, you might think it's this, but it ain't. So good job getting that stuff taken off you, and keep promoting this message. I'm here for all of this. So wasn't a fan of hers before, but if she keeps, in this trajectory, I'll be supporting her, because if she's telling young ladies to stop the madness, because it seems like she's stopping. So if she's telling the young girls to stop the madness, why wouldn't I support her? So just like if she can reform, so can I. And if there's anybody out there that I've had heavy words for, but if I had heavy words for them on some Shannon Sharp, I'm just here to critique, make sure people get better. And if you tightened up and got better, I'd be like, hey man, life's crazy, and people can go down some crazy paths, but it's all about how you finish the race and not about how you started it. And she wants to go out and finish life the right way, and I'm here for her if she's willing to do it. Will you wife that? Hell no. I don't care if she got Oprah money. I ain't dealing with that. That's that body count situation all over again.
Oh yeah. I usually rail against listening to what people in China's position have to say, but I also have acknowledged in my advanced age that the majority of humans in this world are sheep and not wolves. And the majority of people in this world are group thinkers. They follow trends and they conform. Conformity is much more easy and convenient than being your own unique self. And most people in the world conform, are group thinkers, and they're sheep. And so if sheep and group thinkers are particularly susceptible to the messaging from their, mother hen, so to speak, then I'm going to have to place a valuation on what China's attempting to do with this, with making her reformation public, because it has to mean that some people are going to listen to it, because people are just impressionable in that way. It is what it is. Most people are sheep and not wolves, and so there at least has to be some percentage of the people out there, whether they're directly involved with stuff like OnlyFans or on the outside looking in, trying to dip their hand into the toe or exploring the option, whatever the circumstance is, a lot of those people are group thinkers and conformists. And so they can look at this and perhaps conform in turn to what she's saying now and decide to go a different path. So by hook or by crook, it is what it is. But absolutely, I do have to place a relative valuation on what it is that she's doing, all the while acknowledging that I think her goose is absolutely cooked.
Yes,
because it's
a wrap. It's a wrap for her. But if she looks at herself like more of a sacrifice, then keep doing that, because hey
Yeah,
man,
that's a
like,
good way to look at it.
yeah,
Yeah,
man, we all bump our heads, man.
right.
She had the life, she had the body and the mentality to ride it out, and yeah, and it ain't fun on the other side of that shit. So she could have suffered in silence, not said a thing, and it wouldn't have benefited anybody. So she's doing something,
Yeah.
and that's commendable. So
Yeah, it is for sure. There's definitely evaluation to be had on it,
yeah,
for sure. And with that, we are going to go ahead and we are going to end tonight's stream, man. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Appreciate one of the followers of the channel, S, chimed in on the comments, said, I enjoy your channel. Great production value. Keep going. The followers will come. So certainly appreciate the shout out, man. Continue to tune in. We certainly appreciate that support. As always, I like to say in closing on this Conscious Approach channel on YouTube, we appreciate everybody for tuning in. Feel free to follow Conscious Approach on Instagram at ConApproach, ConApproach, as well as on the meta page, Conscious Approach. Go ahead and like the page, follow the page as well. If you happen to be watching this video as a part of the stream, go ahead and hit that like button. If you happen to be watching this video as a part of an individual video upload, also hit that like button. Leave a comment. Let us know what you think about the content of the video, and also hit that subscribe button. We are in a race to 1K, and we certainly appreciate everybody for joining in. We love doing this, man. We have a whole lot of fun. We certainly we enjoy producing this logical content. So for anybody who appreciates what we're doing, man, much love and appreciation to you. Thank you for joining our tribe. You can find me on Instagram at JVWins, JVWINS. Also, be on the lookout for the RSS feed. We are going to put this on all platforms in which podcasts are available. Pandora, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all of that good stuff. So as we continue to rock and roll, be on the lookout for that stuff. We got a lot of good things coming down the pike. So, keep it locked because Conscious Approach will continue. So thank you for joining, and we look forward to seeing you on the next video.
absolutely. All right, and the name is Dogon SS. All right, not doggone, it's Dogon. And you can find me on Instagram at Dogon_SS and on YouTube at Dogon_SS. All right. Also, Hurricane Dogon. You can find me there. Just making videos for the Miami Hurricanes and other college football content, man. So come and join the shenanigans. Why don't you? And as always, don't be too high, don't be too low, man. Keep it calm, keep it chill, keep it clear, keep it even kill, man. And don't let anybody get you off your pivot, man. We talked about a lot of interesting stuff this evening, all right? And a lot of ways you can get caught off yours. But as we say, man, just stay firm, stay solid, and stay on your square. Y'all will be all right. And as always, also, go Canes, all right? And go fam. God damn. All right, so until next time, guys.
Yeah, shouts out to UM in the Final Four. I'm rooting
Yeah,
for
man.
them.
Go
Yeah,
Canes. And shout out
I'm
to the
on it.
ladies, even though they lost. Shout out to the ladies, man. They was holding it
Yeah,
down. God damn.
yeah, for sure. On that note, man, appreciate everybody for tuning in to another edition of the Conscious Approach channel on YouTube. We appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate your support. And until next time, we'll catch you on the flip side. We out of here.
Peace.
Peace.
Scoot, scoot.